Thank you for joining us today. Today is all about communication skills, and it's a really quick fire session. We're only 20 minutes together as a team. So for those that haven't met me before, my name is Nisa Burrell and I'm a director at Wana Learning. If you want to stay in touch, there's a QR code on the screen. That won't just give you my LinkedIn, that gives you all of my details, emails, numbers, all of it. So please do use that to stay in touch. So Wana Learning offers full services. We offer change management. So if you've got a strategy or a new product you're struggling to launch into your business, we will work with you to understand where you currently are and what you need to do to be able to deliver that successfully. We also provide learning solutions. So although everyone jumps to kind of e-learning, and that is something we offer, we like to provide a gamified approach. So think learning software in an escape room or learning about a new technical standard through a quiz. We like to think outside the box. We provide fully facilitated workshops, so things like strategy days or team building. And finally, we offer executive coaching. But none of you are here today to hear about Wana Learning. You're here to carve out some time for yourself to grow your own skills. And today it's all about communication. So we're going to have 4 things that we're learning about today. One of those is the impact of body language, the tone of voice that you have and the words that you pick. And what does that mean for communication? We're also going to look at the concept of transactional communication and what does that mean for how you craft your messages. I'm going to share a model called the 7 C's, and that's something that you can use to help your communication skills as well. And finally, we're touching on a 3-part sentence and how you can start using those. If at any point you've got questions, please do shout out. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into breakout rooms, and I invite you all to, if you're comfortable to, share your screens, but at least please do speak to each other. In your pairs, you're going to decide who is person A and who is person B. In the chat function, and again, please do shout if you can't see the chat function, there will be 2 documents that are PDFs. One says for person A, one says for person B. You're going to have 5 minutes to carry out those instructions, and then I'm going to bring us all back into the room. So shortly I'll open up the meeting rooms and you'll be automatically assigned. When you're there, just agree who's person A, who's person B, read the PDFs, and then get started.
Thank you for coming in to see me. I just want to talk to you about next week. Now, I know you've got some leave booked. Have you got much planned? You got much going on?
Yeah, well, it's my birthday, and as you know, I've worked quite hard on the last few projects, so I'm just really looking forward to having time off. I'm feeling quite burnt out, and I've got a spa booked that I'm looking forward to. Yeah, no, but thanks for remembering.
Yeah, happy birthday. I hope you have a nice day. I'm in a bit of a pickle really, work-wise. Obviously, you know that project deadline is next week. Is there any scope at all to maybe, it doesn't have to be all of it, but is there any scope at all to, if I can just pinch a little bit of your time back and maybe was it possible for you to take it another time at all?
Well, I mean, it's my birthday, and it's one
Oh no,
day.
I'm not asking for your birthday. I'm not asking for your birthday. I would not do that.
Yeah, okay. So one of the things that exercise was about is showing you how awkward some communication can be, particularly when you can't necessarily see anybody. So what I want to do is we're going on to the next slide, and if you've got a phone, please do get it out. We're going to be looking at a poll. So there should be a QR code appear on the side. Please do answer the question that comes up in the poll. And that question is basically, what do you think has a bigger impact on communication? Is it the tone of voice? So the way in which you're saying something, and don't forget that can also come across in written words as well. Is it your body language? So how are you kind of coming across? Or is it the words that you use? So the things that you say, the actual words that you're saying. So please do just take a minute, fill out that form if you could. Okay, you've got 2 for the tone of voice. Okay. So one of the things I find interesting about these results so far is that I think a lot of people think the biggest impact on communication is what we say and how we're saying it. So you might be interested to find out that actually in the 1960s, a psychiatrist called Morabian actually found that 55% of an impact of communication was body language. That's a huge amount of kind of impact. And I want you to consider, imagine I'm sat here with my arms folded and I'm looking out the window and I'm not really paying attention. How does that make you feel? Do you feel listened to? Do you feel like I'm engaging with you? Probably not. So when you're communicating with people, suddenly you can see the impact that if you don't have your screens on, you don't have your cameras on, you can't see each other, you're losing a huge amount of chance to influence that other person and to talk to that other person and really communicate well. So sometimes with certain things you might think, is text best? Is email best? Or should I actually give them a call and make sure we can see each other? Or should we go have a face-to-face in person? The next thing I want to touch on is this idea of transactional communication. And this just reminds you that when you're writing a message, it's really easy to think about what is it I need to tell that person? What is it I need to get across? And it's actually how are they going to receive it? So when you're writing a message and you're reading a message, you're actually encoding and decoding. And this isn't just in text, it's not just verbal, it's also in images. So you need to make sure that what you're doing can be really understood by the other person in light of the fact that they've got a lot of other things going on around them. So we call this noise. So this might be the project teams they have around them, where they currently are located, other things that are taking up headspace for them. All of this will have an impact on their ability to be able to decode your message at a certain time. But this is a two-way thing, and the channels that you use are going to have an impact on that as well. So when we draft a message, it's not just about drafting a message to get the points we need to get across, but you need to think about how is it going to be received at the other end. And the 7Cs model is going to be something that can help you with that. Now, the 7Cs are almost like a tick list of something that you can go through and be kind of leaning on in helping you craft your message. So are you concise? Have you just sent a 5-page worth of emails as like an A4 when it could have been a paragraph? Are you concise? Are you getting to the point? Does the person have all the necessary information to do something with your communication? Are you coherent? Does it flow well? Have you made a point at the start and then spoke about something else and then come back to it? Is it easy to understand? And one of the things that I would say nowadays, which is really useful, is we live in an age with AI. Don't put anything confidential into ChatGPT, but things like Copilot can help you rewrite your messages to make sure that they actually are really clear to understand and that they're flowing well. Be courteous, be polite and considerate. Particularly if you're working with other cultures, be mindful of actually what is polite and courteous for that other culture as well, and make sure you're actually thinking about this in your messaging. If you're making a point or an argument, are the facts in there? Have you put enough details? Is it accurate? All those things help actually make your message more trustworthy and more believable. And finally, is it correct? I can't tell you how many times I've had an email come through, "Dear Nissan." I know it's a typo, but it shows me that somebody's not bothered to recheck their email and reread their message. So the 7Cs are a useful tool. So remember, be concise. Is your message complete? Is it coherent? Is it clear? Are you being courteous? Is it concrete? Is it correct? And if you've got all those things, you stand a really good chance of your message being decoded correctly. Now, a 3-part sentence is also something really useful in terms of how to respond to something, particularly in a difficult conversation, like we witnessed at the start, that can actually help you in phrasing your response. So the first thing is to reflect what the other person wants. Now, this is really good for that clarity piece. What you're doing is you're replaying the words back to somebody. Have I got this right? So let me paraphrase, is another great one for this. You're then going to communicate your feelings. So what's your point of view? And then you're going to state your desired outcome. What do you want from this? So if we were to take that case study earlier, and you're going to reflect what the other person wants. I know you want me to cancel my holiday, and I know you're going to want me to stay late. You're going to communicate your feelings. You're feeling like, hang on a minute, I'm entitled to my time off. There's other people here that can do this. And then you're going to state your desired outcome. So actually, can you delegate it to others? And then when I'm back in, I'll see what's left and I can help you out there. So these are the sort of things that you can use in communication. So we're going to go back to that work scenario, and I'm going to stop my screen share at the moment. And I'm going to invite you all to put your cameras on if you can, or just join the conversation. So the top tips, and this is what we're ending on today, is that body language has a huge impact. So when you're communicating, think about, when is face-to-face really needed? Is the phone call the right move? Is an email the right move, or do you need to see that person? When you create communication, don't think about your point alone. You need to think about that end user. How are they going to read it? How are they going to receive it? The 7 C's are a really useful tick list to kind of make sure you go back and craft your messages. And the 3-part sentence is a way of, particularly in difficult communication, getting your point across in kind of a factual way, rather than necessarily just kind of shutting down that conversation. So that is it today in our Business Booster. If you would like to stay in touch, there's a QR code, and I hope to see you next month.